In this game, winners win, and I only back winners. Trainer Kenny McPeak is a proven winner, and his horses are in my portfolio. And now they can be in yours too. McPeak's champion horses and Derby hopefuls are now featured on Morning Line. With Morning Line, I don't just watch the race. I own the moment. I invest in champions. This is my edge. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morning Line. Own the game.
Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike B are here taking a look at the richest race that will be run all around the globe on Saturday. That is, of course, the $20 million Group 1 Saudi Cup. This race won last year by Forever Young in a thrilling stretch drive. He's trying to defend his title in this race, coming back again this year. We'll talk about the field of 14 runners, but first want to let you know that we've got a sale going on this week at Daily Racing Form. If you want to pick up some of these Saudi Cup PPs, because we do have PPs for this entire card, you can do so by taking advantage of this sale with 15% off for President's Day on through President's Day on Monday. Just make sure to use that coupon code PRES26 to get 15% off everything in the DRF store at shop.drf.com. Also, let's first hear from a word from our sponsor, Morning Line, before we get into the handicapping. So let's hear from Morning Line.
This video is sponsored by morningline.io. Old school ownership locks you in with fees, markups, and no exit. Morning Line offers a modern alternative, licensed access to elite racehorses with flexibility to buy, sell, or trade anytime. No ongoing costs. Only on morningline.io. Back to the preview.
Mike, here is the field of 14 that was entered for this Saudi Cup. As you can see, we've got this listed in program number order. That column all the way on the left, those are the post positions, as in some countries all around the world, the program numbers do differ from the post position. So be aware of that if you're handicapping this race, that Forever Young, the number 3, will be breaking from post 6 in this race. And Mike, he's the place to start. He's 7-5 on the Morning Line. I would imagine that in any poll, he's going to be shorter than that. He's just a standout in this field, and doesn't feel like this came up quite as tough as the rubber match that we saw last year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, forget about the Breeders' Cup Classic win that he's coming off of. But I mean, if you just go back to the race that he ran here last year, I mean, it just feels like, and there are some good horses in this race, David, but if he's in that kind of form again this year, he's probably just going to win it right back. And, he's got so much going for him. And, as you mentioned, the horse that he beat last year is sort of a global superstar. And there's nobody like that in this field.
Now, this is a race that over the 6 runnings has been won twice by the U.S. horses, twice by Japanese horses, one of which was Forever Young. So we'll see if one of those two nations can add another tally in their column. Mike, we don't have a pace projector for this race, obviously, because there are so many forward runners in here. I will say, as I was going through this field, I didn't see a ton of front running speed signed on. I think the number 12 Thunder Squall is a horse that's gone forward in a few of his races in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if he's fast enough to make the lead against this field, but one thing about Forever Young is that they can place him wherever they want. Yeah,
that was my takeaway too. I didn't see a ton of pace in this race, but Forever Young's just not going to be compromised no matter what they do up front. If they do wind up going fast, that's okay with him. And if they go a little bit slower, it's probably even better for him. Even the other American horse who's going to take money in here, Nisos, who knows? He's got way more to prove, but he's not going to be compromised by pace in this race either.
This is a race that is contested around a one-turn distance. It is 1,800 meters officially, about a mile and an eighth. So a long run to that first turn, but can be the kind of track where you don't want to take too much kickback if you're a horse that's not used to that. So it's going to be interesting to see how the trips sort themselves out in the early stages of this race. Let's go through this field, and we're going to go through in program number order. So Mike, let's begin with the number 1, Banishing, who is breaking from post 3 in this race. He is, of course, one of the U.S. contenders shipping over, and this David Jacobson runner, he is very versatile. We've seen him compete over a variety of distances on U.S. soil, coming off a somewhat disappointing effort in the Pegasus World Cup last time, where maybe 9 furlongs around 2 turns is a little far for him. I guess turning back to a one-turn race might work for him. I'm just still not sure if he's this kind of horse to compete at this elite level.
I'm not either. I mean, I was going to say I understand why they're going to ship over and take a shot at 20 million. I guess I only understand that because all they do is run this horse. Whatever big race is coming up next, he's just entered in it. So we'll see. He was, there are some races on the go back for this horse, especially early last year, that I think would have made him really interested in here. The form that he's in lately, not so much.
The number 2 is Bishop's Bay. He's another American horse. He'll be breaking from post 9 in the starting gate, so right in the middle of the field. And Mike, he's coming off a career best performance when he won the Cigar Mile last time out. We'll take a look at the stretch run of this race. This was going a one-turn distance on the dirt, so he's got to get an extra furlong as he stretches out in the Saudi Cup. And Mike, he's also got to step up against a way tougher field because while the horse who's leading at this point in the race, Mika, is a horse that came in with potential. He had never proven himself to be a graded stakes horse before, and he didn't run that well when he came back in the Pegasus World Cup next time. So while Bishop's Bay did get a big 107 buyer speed figure for this race, I kind of want to see him do it again at this level. Yeah,
we'll see how much faster he can get, because he probably does have to get faster. I'm just never going to knock this horse. He shows up, he runs every single time. And listen, if you want to hold the Pegasus World Cup against Mika, I guess that's your prerogative. But Mika ran a pretty big race that day, and Bishop's Bay, came and chased that horse down. I thought it was a really good performance. And that's just what you sort of get from him. The other thing that I kind of like about him, David, is he's really tactical. So he is going to be forward in here. This pace might not be that fast. And, the longer distance doesn't bother me with this horse at all. I know he's good, one turn 7, 8 furlongs, one turn 9 furlongs doesn't bother me at all with this horse.
Yeah, he should have a very good trip coming to him, and we'll see if he can get this distance at the level. The number 3, Forever Young, we know that he can handle the distance, we know that he can handle the surface, and we know that he can handle this class level. I mean, he's just done it all at this stage of his career. 10 for 13 lifetime. He's won all over the globe, and coming off, really hit the crowning achievement of his career in the Breeders' Cup Classic last time. We'll take a look at the stretch run of this race. And I mean, Mike, if you're going to poke any holes in this performance, it's that he was very much with the flow of the racetrack, because we saw Inside Speed be very good at Del Mar on this day, but I don't want to take away from this performance too much. I mean, he just always traveled like a winner of this race. He took challenges in the late stages. He held these horses off. Sierra Leone was coming at him at the end, but Forever Young had enough left to hold sway coming to the wire. He's just really good. And he's running his A race over this course in the Saudi Cup last year, beating a much tougher rival than he'll line up against on Saturday. So he's just awfully tough to knock.
Yeah, it's really, really hard if you're thinking about betting this race. It's really, really hard to take a negative position on him. It doesn't mean you have to bet him. It doesn't mean you can't take some kind of shot against him in here, because he's going to be a really short price. But make no mistake about it, he's a standout in this field, and somebody's going to have to really, really run to beat him.
And one further point I'll make, Mike, is that sometimes you might be a little skeptical of these horses coming off the Breeders' Cup because they're pointed for that race. It's the culmination of a campaign. He basically got the entire summer off last year, and the Breeders' Cup was just the second start off a layoff for him. So he might be a fresher horse than we've seen him, basically when he took on the Middle East last year. We'll see how that goes for Forever Young. The number 4, Hakit, he is one of these Saudi Arabian-based horses. He'll be breaking from post 2 in this race, Mike. And I think all of the Saudi Arabian horses in here, maybe save one that'll make a minor case for, look like they're up against it. This is a horse that is coming off a pretty disappointing effort the last time that we saw him. That was going 1.25 miles. We'll see him cut back a little bit in here, but he would need a career best effort.
Yeah, I mean, he had a pretty easy win, 2 starts back going 1.25 miles. He just got a perfect trip in that race and won easily. I just didn't really like his performance last time at all. It felt like he was in position when that field came into the stretch, and it felt like it was open for somebody to come running and get the Thunder Squall in there, and nobody did it, including this horse.
Last year, we saw a bunch of Japanese-based horses come over to compete in the Saudi Cup along with Forever Young. This year, we only got one other one. That's the number 5, Luxor Cafe. And Mike, this is a horse that we actually are familiar with on U.S. soil. He ran in the Kentucky Derby last year, actually took some money to go off at 8-1 in that race. He was kind of a buzz horse Derby week. Didn't really work out, didn't have an ideal trip that day. It's kind of been a mixed bag since he's come back towards the tail end of his 3-year-old into 4-year-old campaign over in Japan. I thought his victory, too, back against Lesser going a 1-turn mile was visually impressive, but then he was really disappointing last time in the Champions Cup, though. I can't imagine that was the trip that the Connections were hoping for, breaking from post 16 and just getting hung wide every step of the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's still a really tough call. I mean, I remember, looking at this horse and following him up into the Derby last year and just thinking, man, he's visually impressive. I don't know if he's beaten anybody good, but he is a visually impressive horse. As you mentioned, his Derby wasn't great. He didn't get a great trip. He also didn't run that well in there. And he, at least I can say this about him, David, when he won 2 starts back, he looked like the same horse that he was early last year. He was super impressive again, winning that race. And you're right, last time he had the far outside post in that race. And, no matter what kind of horse you are, being 5 wide around the track is never a good thing. I think his rider just kind of gave up in the stretch there and let him fall out. I still think this horse has some real talent. I think a one-turn race might really work for this horse too. Going the 9 furlongs. I'm pretty interested in this horse to use somewhere in this race.
The number 6, Mahali, he is another Saudi Arabian-based horse. He has won 3 of his last 4 starts on the way in here, beat one of these today's rivals, Amirad Al-Zaman, last time out. And this horse, Mike, he's an improving 4-year-old, but it just feels like this is a big step up in class for him, given the races he's coming out of.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, he is in really good form. I just, going back through that last race, and listen, at least he stretched out effectively. So that's, a feather in his cap there. He did it over this track too. I also just felt like he got such a good trip in that race. And it just felt like that pace was really coming back for the closers, both he and the runner-up who were back in here. They both just sort of sat really good trips, I thought, and maybe took advantage a little bit.
The number 7, Nevada Beach, will be breaking from post 7 in this race, and he is one of 2 Bob Baffert horses that we'll talk about in succession. Mike, this horse tried the Breeders' Cup Classic last year in just the 5th start of his career. That was maybe too much too soon. He did have a moment of traffic on the far turn, but on that day, he just was not nearly as good as Forever Young and those horses. But he had upside on the way in, and I think he has continued progressing coming out of that race. He had to work hard for that native diver victory, but I liked his last race in the Lafitte Pinkai, where he gave Nisos all that he could handle. That was going a mile and a 16th. I think a little longer is only going to benefit this horse. He's this big lumbering type of horse that I think should appreciate the more gradual turns of this King Abdulaziz Racecourse. So we'll see how that all plays out, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's another step forward for him.
Yeah, I can see it too. He's one of the few horses in here that I feel that way about too. So I really like that about this horse. I feel like we haven't seen his best race yet, and we already know that he's got an awful lot of ability. He's another horse who's just not going to be compromised by the way this race is run. There's probably a good trip coming for him. Thought he was, pretty easy to get interested in, to use at least somewhere in this race. I guess the only issue I would have with him if I was betting the race is he's going to take money in here.
The number 8, Nisos, is the other Bob Baffert runner. Is probably going to take even more money in this race. I imagine he's going to be the clear-cut second choice on the way in. And you kind of understand, Mike, when you look at his career record, he's 7 for 8. His only loss was a narrow defeat in the Grade 1 Churchill Downs, where he was coming off a layoff of over a year, trying one of the toughest races that was run anywhere in 2025. So he certainly had an excuse that day. I mean, Mike, while all of that sounds impressive, we talked about it, I think, when we handicapped the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. I still am not a believer in this horse at the elite level. I know he's done what's been asked of him. I have not been impressed by the company that he's faced out west. And when he's met some tougher foes the last couple of times, I mean, he got a great trip in the Breeders' Cup. I thought he had to work harder than I expected he would have, given the trip that he got that day. And we'll take a look at his last race in the Lafitte Pinkai. Again, I thought he got a perfect trip. Nevada Beach let him out at the top of the stretch. It looked like he was supposed to go on to an easy victory over that foe. He could never shake Nevada Beach. I just wonder if this horse at this stage of his career, given the setbacks that he's had, if we're not going to see a step forward that I think he needs to take in this race.
Yeah, I'll agree with all that stuff. Listen, I love this horse. To me, he's a super talented horse, or at least he was. I do think it's sort of fair, though, to look at, what's happened throughout his career and just feel like, man, he might never actually get to the level it seemed like he had a chance to get to, because this horse can really run, and he's been super impressive along the way. He just hasn't really been. Obviously, things didn't go, even though he got 5 starts in last year and he won 4 of them and he ran really well in several of them. Things still didn't really go his way last year. He missed some of the big races he was supposed to run in. I think they wanted to get to the Classic with him and they couldn't get there and had to run him in the Dirt Mile. None of those things are good. And I'm with you on his last 2 races. He got the job done. This horse can still run, but I think you wanted to maybe see him win a little bit more impressively than that.
He has looked great in his workouts. He dusted Nevada Beach in that 7 furlong team drill 2 back, but he is just a much better workhorse in the mornings than Nevada Beach is, so I wouldn't put too much stock into that. The number 9, Rattle and Roll, will continue with the theme of the American horses. He'll actually break 1 post position inside of Nisos, who's in 12. Rattle and Roll is in post 11. Mike, this horse tried the Saudi Cup last year. He was no match for Forever Young. He dropped far back in the early stages. He was picking up pieces at the end, but nobody was in the same galaxy as the top 2 at the end of that race. He subsequently disappointed in Dubai. It took a little while to come back around to form once he got back into the U.S. last fall, but he ran well last time. We'll take a look at his most recent start in the Tinsel Stakes. He got class relief that he probably needed, and he won this race very easily. So now he's moving back up in class. I still don't know if he's quite good enough at this level, and I'm not sure he's going to get the pace that he needs.
I'm worried about that too. At least we got this performance out of him to go off of, because you're right. When he came back from overseas at the end of last year, it just seemed like maybe he wasn't quite the same horse. they did, let him step back in class for this, but he also galloped in this race. So at least I know that he can still run. I guess it's at least worth pointing out that they did, even though he didn't run well in this race last year, they shipped him over and he ran well on this track in his first start over here. I thought that was a really impressive win too. So I like that about him. I don't know, man. He's got a lot working against him in here, but I'm still a big fan of this horse. He's going to be a huge price in this race. And if I was looking to use horses underneath Forever Young, he'd be one of them.
I mentioned that there was one Saudi Arabian-based horse that I thought was mildly interesting. That is the number 10, Star of Wonder, who technically is a former American. He started out with Brad Cox. He spent the first 6 starts of his career in that barn, showed some talent, Mike. I mean, he looked like a horse that was on the way up in the handicap division when he entered the Pimlico Special last year. That was a disappointing effort. Obviously, something went wrong. Needed time after that. He was sold at auction for $325,000, transferred to connections overseas. I watched both of his races in Saudi Arabia. Now, obviously, he's not facing anywhere near the kind of company that he's going to be meeting in this race, but I did like the way he finished both of those races. I mean, the first win, he only got it done by half a leg, but he was really battling gamely inside of a horse that looked like he had more momentum built up on the outside to get that win. And last time out, the way that he was finishing going a mile, it just makes you feel like more distance is going to work for him. I thought that about him when he first was in this country with Brad Cox, that he'd appreciate more ground. I know it didn't work in the Pimlico Special, but maybe something went wrong that day. I think that we maybe haven't yet seen the best of this horse, but he is going to need to step it up here.
Yeah, I'm willing to look at him like that too. I particularly liked, like it sounds like you did too. I particularly liked his last win over there. That was a pretty good performance. I felt it's interesting. I'm going to be very interested to see what he does over this longer distance too, though, Dave, because I felt the same way about him early on. Like it felt like a horse, even though he was winning shorter races, but it felt like he wanted to maybe go a little bit longer. And the 2 times that they tried like longer distance 2-turn races with him last year. The Keeneland race, the first time they did it, I thought he was bad in that race. And then when they did it in the Pimlico Special, he thought he was bad again in that race. So we'll see.
The number 11, Sunrise Zipango, makes me realize that I misspoke earlier. There are 3 Japanese horses in this race, not 2. I gave short shrift to Sunrise Zipango. He's going to be a big price in this race coming in from Japan, Mike, and just doesn't really have the dirt for him to make him a contender here. I actually think some of his turf races are better. I mean, he actually ran okay in the prestigious Arima Kitten last time, one of the premier Group 1 races on the grass in Japan, but on dirt, it's kind of hard to make a case for him.
Yeah, especially the dirt form he's in now. I mean, I guess there were a couple of races that he was running early last year on the dirt that would make him at least a little interested in here. But what he's been doing lately is not great.
The number 12, Thunder Squall. He is another Saudi Arabian-based horse, like I said earlier. Maybe he's a potential speed in this race. He was forward when he got the job done last time out. But, Mike, that performance was much better than his recent efforts that he was beaten by some rivals that he'll face off again here. So he's a little tough to make a case for.
He is. I mean, I guess the race 2 back when he was behind a couple of these horses, they tried blinkers that day. And to me, he was just way too close to the pace. Because that race to me fell apart late. And he was way too close that day. They took the blinkers off last time. I thought he ran a lot better. And that race, I did think, again, that's the race where I just feel like it felt like if somebody was really closing from behind, they were going to catch him. But nobody was really running. So he's going to have to up his game.
The number 13, Tumbarumba. He is going to break from post 8 in this race. And Mike, he's gone over to Dubai recently. He's a horse that was owned by Wathdon Racing with Brian Lynch in the U.S. on through the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile this year, changed hands and to a different stable. And he's run in at Meydan in his last couple of starts. The first race over there was not very good. Didn't get the trip that he really wanted and was never a factor. He ran much better last time because I don't even think he got a great trip in that Maktoum Challenge going the 2-turn mile and 3/16 at Meydan. And he didn't look like he was in a very good position on the far turn. He was wide behind some tiring horses, but he was really staying on at the end of that race, which makes me think that the 1-turn mile and an 8th could be okay for him. I just don't know if he's going to be able to compete at this level.
Yeah, it's funny too, because I never looked at him as a horse who wanted more distance when he was running over here. And so, but maybe you're right. Maybe that last race is a sign that he can get this far. I still don't think he's good enough to beat these horses.
He is a horse that shows up every time. Maybe he can clunk along for a piece. The number 4, Amirat Al-Zaman. She is the only filly in this race, a 4-year-old filly who faced only other female horses through the first 7 starts of her career, stepped out against males last time and finished second to Mahali, who we already talked about. And Mike, while she's obviously done a lot of winning, it feels like it's mostly been at lower levels, so she'd be a bit of a surprise in this spot.
Ran well last time, but I thought she got a perfectly good trip in that race and had every chance to win. It was only second best to a horse who's also back in here.
Let's go to our picks for this $20 million Group 1 Saudi Cup. And Mike, we both have Forever Young on top. I mean, I thought about taking a shot against him because he's going to be such a short price. I just couldn't really latch on to anybody else that I felt was on his ability level. And it's kind of hard to poke too many holes in his form. He's just so reliable. So I put him on top. I see we're completely different underneath. And this feels like that kind of race where if you want to use horses under Forever Young, there are many ways you can go. I think Nevada Beach is an interesting up-and-comer. I've got that Saudi Arabian-based horse, the number 10, Star of Wonder in there. So that's what I'm looking to use underneath. I see you've got the other Japanese horse second, though, in Luxor Cafe.
Yeah, Luxor Cafe is the horse I want to try to make money with it here. I couldn't convince myself to put him on top because I don't think he's going to be able to beat Forever Young, but maybe he can get in there with him at a fair price. I guess the one thing we have in common here, David, is we both left Nisos off. It hurt me to do it because I'm a huge fan of his, but I think of the shorter prices, he's the one to go against.
That was my main take on this race. If there's any of the short prices I'm against, it's him. He's going to have to prove it to me in this spot. 3, 7, 10, 13 for me, and 3, 5, 2, 9 for Mike in the Group 1 Saudi Cup on Saturday morning in U.S. time. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.